guys, Kim here with Kim's Connections with your newest video. If you haven't done so, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you are ready for all of the new videos that I have coming out for you guys. So today we are going to talk about a dry, dark period in American history. And by dry and dark, I mean Prohibition. So we all kind of know the basics of Prohibition. It illegalized the production, transport, and selling of alcohol. Now let's start at the beginning. In 1851, the state of Maine actually passed Maine laws, and they were the early Prohibition laws. There was a lot of pressure from temperance leagues and Christian groups on state legislators to pass these laws against what they saw as a drunken nation. Now, as you can imagine, with the Civil War coming up and all the things that were about to go down in our country, these didn't really go over very well, and they were eventually repealed and people went about their business. Other than the temperance people, they never gave up their fight. By the time World War I came around, the temperance people argued that the barley that was used to brew beer would be much better served in making bread for the troops and for the starving Europeans. Sounds all nice and toasty and cozy, right? Hold up. There was a sinister kind of aspect to this. Most of the breweries in the country at this time were ran by German immigrants. We were currently in a world war against Germany. So there was that xenophobia aspect to beer and drinking and poisoning the Americans with this German beer. Now, a lot of beer factories completely changed up their production systems once Prohibition went into effect. Anheuser-Busch and Yuengling actually transformed themselves into places that made ice cream. So that's an interesting little tidbit there. So Prohibition's in effect. Now, there were a few states that just were like, no, we're not doing this. Maryland being one of them, and by 1923, New York State being one of them. Now, there were over 30,000 speakeasies in New York City alone. So I know what you're thinking. Why do they have to have a speakeasy hide it if it's not being enforced in the state? Well, much like a substance that a lot of states have legalized now that is still technically illegal to the federal government, they could be raided. We've seen this happen in California and some other places where things are more liberal and legal in the state. So, now, I know what you're thinking too. People just, there was no way people stopped drinking. And we know this from all the Roaring 20s talk and all of that, people getting down Gatsby style, right? So the point of that is, if you had a stash of booze, say you had a big case of gin hidden under your house, you could go down and get that. You just weren't allowed to sell it, transport it, or make any more. But if you had it, you could drink it up. Now, a lot of pharmacies actually became fronts for speakeasies during this time. Doctors could actually still prescribe medicinal whiskey. So you could go to the doctor, oh, my tooth hurts, here's your prescription for whiskey. This kind of sounds like something else, doesn't it? Here's your prescription for your medicinal whiskey. Take it to the pharmacy. There you go. So like I said, they were fronts for a lot of speakeasies, but even legitimate pharmacies like Walgreens boomed during this time. Walgreens went from 50 stores in the early 1920s to over 500 stores by the end of the 1920s. So what ended this Prohibition? To be perfectly honest, it's a lot like the arguments that people use for the certain substance we're talking about today. The amount of money that could be made and that was being missed out on taxing this alcohol. The alcohol business was only second to the auto business in Detroit. We all know that bootleggers made tons of money during this time. Just think Al Capone, or even legitimate families that we know now like the Kennedys. They were in on this bootlegging and this alcohol sale. So by the time that World War II was coming along, people realized there is a lot we could be doing with this money that we could collect if we just made alcohol legal again. So eventually the Prohibition laws were repealed, and the idea that the money on alcohol was just too good to pass up finally took over. sounds a little bit like the other substance that we've been talking about in terms of tax revenue and regulation and all of that. We all know people died from drinking bootleg gin or whatever. It seems to make more sense to regulate the system and collect the tax revenue for it. So there you go, a short little version of Prohibition and what happened, and I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please like, subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook. I have a Facebook page that I update daily. So I hope to see you guys soon, and thank you so much. Have a good day.